chance, we are here by divine appointment. And as I welcome our viewing audience, you tuned in at this moment because there's something here for you and each and every one of us who heard the call and answered. The Bible states, before they call, I will answer. And while they're yet speaking, I will hear. Be still and know that I am God. That we are co-creators with that power, that presence, that energy in the universe. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, in that higher energy frequency, there I am in the midst of them. That you are as close to God as I am ever going to get. I am as close to God as you are ever going to get. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. This morning we're listening to that still small voice within us that brought us here together in community, and I believe deeply in community. I believe the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. The synergistic mind of God arises and we grow exponentially if we are on the path with sincerity and authenticity and want to move to the next level and release that which no longer serves us. Be still. Let go of the outer clamor. Go within to that secret place of the Most High. Pray to your Father, Mother, God in secret, in that secret place of the Most High, and acknowledge that you will be rewarded openly by the outward demonstrations of your life. That as we have that inner voice, and of course we have the outer voice of ego as well. And there is a book called Miracles, and it's a book by children of the world. The United Nations put it out. And I'll be meeting with the Assistant to the Secretary General next week at the United Nations, and I'll be staying in Times Square, and other Facebook friends that are there that are doing really global work happen to be there. We know nothing happens by chance, right? So that we'll be meeting as well. And as we come together to acknowledge the children of the world, there was a 12-year-old girl from Uganda, and it's just one of my favorite poems, Out of the Mouths of Babes. She says, I have a little brain tucked safely in my head. And another one that's in the air instead. It follows me and plays with me and sings to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. 12 years old. So, we have that brain tucked safely in our head. We have the chatter, as the Buddhists call it, the monkey mind that never stops. The Abba Dabba, that song. Energetically, if we are outwardly driven, and Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now writes that if we are outwardly driven and always listening to that voice, that depression sets in, a sense of separation sets in. He was asked, when did you have your spiritual transformation? He said, I used to have these nightmares that would come up. And he said, it was really fascinating. One night, I felt consumed by depression. I felt that I was being swallowed up in the void. And I heard a voice within me, and it said, surrender to everything. And he said, I was enveloped in such energy of love that I awoke the next morning and I was one with everything. I got up, and he said even inanimate objects took on a life force and an energy. I could feel the molecular structure of that holy I am presence being projected through it, just an inanimate object. And of course, quantum physicists say there is no inanimate objects. Everything has a life within us, that it is teeming with that molecular divine stuff. And as he walked out that day, and he said, and I walked and I felt at one with everything on the planet, and that feeling has stayed with me ever since. And when I wrote the book, The Power of Now, I observed it happening before it happened. Because we teach in our way of life that we do not ask for things, that we don't want things, that we open ourselves to the reality that they are already there in the unseen. And as we open to the unseen, they manifest in the physical world of conditions and appearances. They show up out of our consciousness. Someone said, well, that's not necessarily fair. Nothing is fair in life. Everything is by right of consciousness. And when we understand that ground of being, we begin to open to the still small voice of God, the intuition, the intuitive voice that is guiding and directing us every step of the way. Now, in the ancient Japanese, it's interesting, from the 15th century, if someone had a very valuable ceramic or porcelain dish or a teapot and it broke, they would take it to someone to be mended. And it's called Kosuji master. And he would take the piece of ceramic or the pot or whatever, and he would begin to mend it. And he would mend it with gold resin. And all of these designs would come forth in the gold resin. And he did it with gold because these pieces became more valuable. Once we have suffered, the analogy being, once we have suffered and we have broken, and then the places that are mended within the heart become more valuable. Blessed are they who have eyes that see, who have ears that hear. Because when we have eyes that see and we have ears that hear, energetically, we begin to go to the next level. A friend of mine on Facebook, she had this interesting post that said, "I've learned so much from my mistakes, I'm thinking of making 5 or 6 more." But Thoreau said, failure has a scientific value. A good learner wouldn't miss it. That we learn through our mistakes. We learn and we grow and we unfold in amazing ways. And it's interesting, I went to Disneyland for my beautiful grandson's 5th birthday. And I had not been, I was there at the week it opened. I was 11. So they just, they were celebrating a few years ago their 50th anniversary. But I walked into that wonderful Fantasyland. And it's a small world, which was closed down. I was disappointed in that, but we did take pictures. And my daughter said, no, it's just the same. It is a small world after all. That it is a global village after all. And went into this energy field, stepped into it, and I knew what Einstein meant when he said imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Look at what Walt Disney did. And when he was down and out and working out of his garage, he said he sat there and he was doing his animations and he believed so deeply in what he was doing. He listened to his still small voices. This is what I should be doing. And believed deeply in it. And as he was doing his renderings and his drawings and he was creating, a little mouse came out that he befriended. And every night the mouse came out every evening and he would give it pieces of cheese. And he named it Mickey. Interesting, isn't it? So he said, I don't want anyone to ever forget. This all started with a mouse. It all started with a mouse. And when someone asked Eckhart Tolle, do animals have souls? And he said, yes, they do. And they don't have a human ego self that gets in the way. And we learn they can become our Zen masters, our animals. They love unconditionally. They are there to be with us, to energize our homes, and to absolutely allow us to evoke from the heart center. And it's so when we are with our animals energetically and acknowledge that the power and the energy and the life force is right there, that our animals sense energy. And a wonderful artist who's part of our community, Juan Manuel Alonso, who is working on an art show right now, we ran into each other at a farm restaurant, and he was sharing with me, he said, I met up with someone who started, to say negative things, and I just put my hand out and said, I do not go there. I do not go there. And he said, and my little dog, my little chihuahua, she went, she sensed the energy. She did not like negative energy. And I said, well, our animals intuitively sense vibratory frequencies. And my Sedona, who was a wolf hybrid, she was the most loving, caring, beautiful animal on the planet. And one time I had a Cox Cable guy come, and she bore her teeth, and she would kind of was just really acting vicious with something I'd never experienced in her. And I said to him, "You must really be afraid of dogs, because she's picking some frequency up in you." He goes, "Yes, I'm terrified of dogs." So they pick up that energy, and they pick up the love and the cuddling and the energy of light. So when Eckhart Tolle wrote The Power of Now, he was writing about all of life, and that how he viewed that book and the impact that it would make on humanity, that it would move into 17 different languages, that he would speak all over the global community, that people's lives, they would realize that there is a power in this moment. Yesterday's gone, it'll never come back, right? It's history. And what is tomorrow is a mystery. Today is the precious present. That's why we call it a gift, right? The precious present. This ever-present moment of now. And I was noticing that my fountain was not working properly, and it was kind of just trickling out. And I believe in the flow of life and having things work. So I called Julian, my home improvement, home repair, best man on the planet. And he came over, and, he started taking things apart. And then he looked underneath, and he realized that just this little leaf got in the opening underneath where the water was, and just pulled it out, and the flow just began to come out, gushing out with the flow and with the water and with the energy and with the light that is there. And I said, what a beautiful metaphor for life, that a little bit of debris gets in our consciousness and blocks our flow, so that we are not experiencing happiness. We are not experiencing the oneness of life, that we are looking outside of ourselves, that we are listening to negativity. And I told you that when somebody comes to me with gossip, I just say, I don't go there either. That is not my experience. I go with my own experience. And even if something is going on with someone, what do? We treat. We do spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is a positive prayer of alignment. It's a positive realization for that person as we know the truth for them and with them. On Facebook, I received this beautiful acknowledgement about Miracle Monday. She said, on 3 separate occasions, I asked for something on Miracle Monday, and each thing was granted. My faith has never been stronger. Thank you, Dr. Sharon Stroud and your spiritual family, for creating this space of miracles so that we can experience them. And what was really operative for me is my faith has never been stronger. That I surrendered, when we surrendered to the process of when we let go and we fill out a prayer request, we let it go. And we let a higher power come in, and people who will know the truth with us and for us, and will not allow us to be less than who we are in their presence. This is being present. This is opening the space to allow not the little brain in our head, but that energy. I have a little brain tucked safely in my head, and the other one that's in the air instead. It follows me and plays with me and sings to me in bed. The other one confuses me, the one that's in my head. The one that's chattering constantly. You're not good enough. You don't have this. You don't have that. All the negative things. And when we are experiencing something in our life that is contracted, it's time to go within. It's time to go within with that secret place of the Most High and to listen to the still small voice of God. Be still and know that I am God. That each and every one of us is a co-creator. That if the flow is blocked, it's usually by some little piece of debris that we have allowed to come into our consciousness that no longer serves us. I am working with someone right now who her whole paradigm and her equation is that she needs to experience dis-ease to get her out of uncomfortable situations. And the last one was she was in a wheelchair for years out of a very serious auto accident. She said, well, it got me out of the marriage. Excuse me? There are other ways to get out of a marriage, right? For those of us in the know. And to learn to grow and to realize that everyone that we have called into our life we've called as a teacher or a lover. And our teachers are sometimes have taught us amazing lessons that we don't need to repeat, and that we can move on from that energy. And when we get clear that everything is energy, when we get clear that energetically we're drawing in the people, places, and things that are going to lift us to the next level, because that's where we're operating from. And if we are operating from something less than that, we will call in people, places, and things that will also affirm where we are in consciousness at that moment. And as we begin to let go and let God do what God does best by means of us, we will call in those life experiences that forward and advance the energy of ourselves, each other, and ultimately the planet. And what I love about this way of life is that every single day is a new experience. That positive thinking doesn't work. Do you know that? Positive thinking doesn't work if it is not in agreement with the beliefs that you hold. So you can be putting all kinds of, peanut butter on top of the moldy bread. It's still going to taste not very well, right? It's not going to taste that good. But when we freshen the energy that is within, and we begin to open to the universal presence, and we begin to listen to what life is saying in us, then that positive thought has shifted and changed something within us. And I can show you an orange here and an apple here. And I can put the apple over here and the orange over there. That's called a change. But when I bite into that apple and it tastes like an orange, that is transformation. And we may look the same on the outside, but inside there is a transformation. There is a sweetness. There is an energy of aliveness. There is a tangible gratitude that this is a good day. This is a beautiful day to move forward in our lives, to acknowledge the still small voice of God, rather than that outer voice that's always telling us that we can't do it, we're not good enough, that we need this, we need that, or the other. Walt Disney said, remember, never lose sight that it all started with a mouse. It all started with a mouse. So today, we acknowledge the simplicity, the humbleness, that opportunity that is there, that we all have come into this life together, naked and unafraid, and we are growing and unfolding in miraculous ways. So when we open to that energy and we go forth into this week, let's create the experiences in our lives that are going to move us forward and allow us to be exactly who we are, and to stand in that truth and that light, and to recognize at the deepest level that we are here by right of consciousness and that we are going someplace. Where are we going?
Higher.
We are going higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And we are so grateful that we know this, aren't we? God bless you. I love you. And I would not be anywhere else in the world. And so it is.